He joins me now from Washington, and many thanks indeed for joining us this evening. What does it say about President Trump when he refers to countries like Haiti, El Salvador and other countries in Africa as shithole countries?
Well, I suppose we'll start with the fact that he's denying having used that language. This is following a meeting in the Oval Office with some Democrats who had just been informed that they weren't getting an amnesty deal for illegal immigrants. So I'm not entirely sure of how reliable it is.
Well, he's denying the use of that language, but Democrat Dick Durbin has been a Democrat, has been in Congress for 20 years, said that President Trump did use that language. Are you saying that he's lying?
No, I'm just trying to put it in context for you. Personally, I hope he did use that language, Gamal. I think it shows a frankness, a willingness to have a conversation that isn't sort of varnished with political correctness. He wants to know why America has a big illegal immigration problem. Let's not forget, the OECD puts out statistics every year, the United Nations, Transparency International, all the corruption indexes. They put out statistics every year that show that there are a handful of countries out there in the world that are pretty bad. I mean, you know, I don't want to use the word on air,
pretty
but
bad
you
is
can
very
describe them
different
as what
to describing a country as being a shithole.
Well, look, if you want me to say it, they are shitholes. You know, Gamal, it is the case. There's no getting around it. And he's not saying that they are because, you know, they're bad people there or anything like that. It might be due to corrupt regimes. It might be due to factors out of the control, environmental factors. There might be education problems there. But there are countries that you and I wouldn't want to go on holiday in and sun ourselves in. And I think that's what he's getting at. It shouldn't be shocking to anybody that there are horrible places in the world that are horrible for the people who live there to live. And instead of actually getting het up about the phrase used, maybe we've got to ask ourselves, why is Haiti in such a dire situation?
Is it appropriate that the United States President should use a phrase describing countries such as Haiti, El Salvador, or countries in Africa as shitholes? Do you think it's appropriate for a president of a country, a leader of a country, to use that term, to use that phrase?
Yeah, well, let's look at Barack Obama, who gave an interview. Let's look at what Barack Obama said about swearing in the Oval Office. He said it's a great thing for presidents to be able to do to relieve stress. Joe Biden, when the Obamacare legislation was passed, described it on live microphone as a big effing deal. So I think the level of appropriateness has already been set by Trump's predecessors on this one. So my answer is, yeah, it's perfectly fine.
You think it's fine that... I'm not talking about Barack Obama, I'm not talking about any other leaders.
Of course you're not.
We're talking about this president describing a country as a shithole country. You think that's fine?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, what about President Trump saying that he's not going to come to the United Kingdom and open this embassy? What is your thoughts, your reflections on that?
Well...
Oh, have we lost him? Have we lost Raheem? What a crying shame. Well, we will move on. We've just got a very brief statement, actually, regarding that story about President Trump not coming to the United Kingdom to open that embassy. Raheem, are you back? Is he back?
Right here.
Smashing. I'd just like to get your thoughts on the fact that President Trump has said that he's not going to be coming to the United Kingdom to open the US embassy.
Yes, well, I don't blame him. You know, you have a situation whereby Sadiq Khan, as the mayor of London, has really been tub-thumping, trying to get President Trump not to attend, said multiple times he's not welcome in the capital, really fomenting a situation where you might have some riots or street protests if the president came to open that embassy. By the way, I think the president's wrong when he says that the embassy in South London is a bad deal. I think firstly, it wasn't Obama who approved that embassy. It was George W. Bush who approved that embassy. Secondly, it didn't cost the American taxpayer anything because they actually sold off a bunch of buildings to pay for it. So I think he is wrong on that. I think he should have come out and told the honest truth, which is that he doesn't particularly want to visit Sadiq Khan's London, which is the acid attack capital of the world per capita, where you have in the last year soaring knife crime, soaring burglary, soaring rape, soaring youth homicide. And Sadiq Khan seems to be concerning himself more with matters of state, which he isn't elected to do, than actually solving the situation of crime in London. And it is soaring. And I have to say this, and you'll excuse me for being churlish about it, but places like Sky News and the BBC and all the best and brightest journalists in the country are not covering this.
What do you mean? Well, every single day we are covering stories about whether it's knife crimes or attacks where they happen up and down the country. What proof do you have?
So Gamal, well, the proof is, can you answer me? What's the at what rate did knife crime go up by in London last year?
I'm asking you. I'm interviewing you. What proof
I know.
do you have?
Well, I know. It's not great with the shoes on the other foot. Do you know how much youth homicide went up by in London last year? Have you told your viewers that? 70%. Have you looked at the mayoral's police and crime report from December the 12th? You look at that, almost every single measure out of 42, only 4 of them in 4 categories did crime go down. In every single other area, double-digit rises in crime across London. So you know what? To borrow a phrase from Donald Trump, London's turning into a shithole under Sadiq Khan.
OK, I think we'll leave it there. Raheem Kassam, the editor for Breitbart, thanks for joining us.
Recently, the last few weeks, I think I sort of got a sense that you were being a bit disillusioned by Donald Trump. However, after his outburst yesterday, you tweeted, "He's trying to win me back."
Yes, it's not going to work unless he builds the wall. I mean, he's always been good at saying things that I think most people believe, and that upset liberals, and that's always fun for a while. But, OK, he's president now. We're in year 2. He hasn't built the wall. He's given tax cuts, but any Republican would have done that. That isn't what he campaigned on. He could avoid all of this, the Muslim ban and the comments on the dysfunctional countries that we're taking all these refugees from, if he had just done one of the points from his immigration policy papers, which was the first policy paper he put out when he was a candidate, a total immigration moratorium. We need a break for a while. We got to dust off the books and assimilate the ones already here. And you don't get into, black, white, or African countries, or Muslim, or religion. We just need a break.
OK, but he did use that language, didn't he? He specifically insulted these countries in a sweeping generalisation and picked out that he'd like to have more people from countries like Norway. So he must know how those comments are going to be received. And in fact, some people are not just questioning the intention of his comments or the colourful language, but some of the facts. For instance, he's been accused of saying an offhand comment about all Haitians have AIDS. Now, actually, that's not true. It's a much, much smaller percentage of people that have got that horrific blight on their life than other African countries. So it's colourful language, it's extreme language, it's language he will know will insult, and it's not even factually correct, is the argument against it.
Well, it's not like it's being treated as if he, called a press conference to announce, I want you to know, America, these countries are assholes. These are leaks from a private meeting, and the same thing with the AIDS comment. And by the way, Haiti does have an extremely high rate of
incorrect and insulting
AIDS.
And rude if nobody hears it.
Well, this
is
is a
that
leak.
your argument?
I don't know if it's true. No, but it's not an insult. If someone overhears me saying, you're wearing an ugly dress, I'm not insulting you. I thought you had an ugly dress. But if I don't say it, and by the way, I can't see you at all. You're probably wearing a beautiful dress. But if I'm not saying it to you, I'm not insulting you. This was leaked by Democrats, his political opponents, because they thought it would hurt him. I don't think it did hurt him. So he's using salty language to make an obvious point. And on the AIDS point, I don't think it is factually incorrect.
It's a very small percentage. It's 1% of the population. Some African countries have as high as 1 in 3 people that have it. So it is factually
It's
incorrect.
Astronomical, and they're very close to us.
And regardless...
And we have an immigration policy that won't discriminate on the basis of AIDS. It's a communicable disease. I kind of think that's one of the things we ought to be taking into account.
And undoubtedly, the immigration argument is an argument that is big over here as well. It's one of the reasons why we've left the EU, because we want to take control of our borders. As we were told, that was what was going to happen, so we could choose who could come and go. And no one would suggest that having that argument isn't really valid and really important in America. But you have to appreciate that the nature of what he said and how he said it, the sweeping statements about these countries that are doing everything they can to get themselves back on their feet, certainly Haiti after the earthquake, the terrific earthquake that they experienced, and all these other African countries.
You went there,
that I have been fortunate enough to visit Haiti and see how hard they're working to try and improve the situation, and it was heartbreaking to be there. And all the Haitians and the other immigrants that you have taken in the United States, huge swathes of them have been hugely important to the American economy and play a hugely important part within society over there as well. So when he describes them as these hellholes, these countries as hellholes, no, but lots of them you can't just dismiss, and that's the problem. It's the sweeping statement that he's dismissing all of them in one comment.
Well, you dismissed them, and one of them, a daughter of a Haitian immigrant, is Republican US. Well, I just want to put this. You just said they've not been helpful. I've got to respond to that by saying the Republican US representative, my love, is a daughter of Haitian immigrants. Is she not helpful?
I can't even remember 5 minutes ago to everything Ben was just saying, but I didn't agree with any of it. Yeah, these are terrible countries. A country is only made up of, I mean, what is a country? It's who the people are. Yeah, you're going through it too. What's frustrating, I think, for the voters in your country and the voters in my country is we keep voting for less immigration, and nobody will give it to us, including Donald Trump, I might add, which is why, you know, making a salty remark that is obviously true doesn't completely win back favor in my book. But look, the discussion at issue, why did he pick out these countries? Because these are the countries that liberals are doing this famous two-step for. You have to take all these people because they're suffering, because their countries are falling apart. Well, he's saying maybe we want to take people who will be good for our country, not just, you know, it's not take losers of the world. You can dump everybody on us so we can solve other countries' problems. The president of the United States is supposed to be solving the United States' problems, not all the other countries in the world's problems.